Hey, hi, how are you? It's Chris again. Welcome back to my channel. On a normal Friday, I would turn around and post, I don't know, what we did that week, what I ate that week, what I cooked that week. God only knows. But I've been telling you guys I'd make the sourdough bread so you guys could see it, and I was just going to do a baking day and post it. So that's what we're going to do. The easiest way to do this, I like using these because I can pop a lid on it. Because I'm going to let this sit for quite a long time. What you need, a lot of recipes are going to tell you to measure. I'm going to tell you about 3.5 cups. And I like using the 1/2 cup measure just because it's how much I'm going to put of my starter in here. So I only like to mess up one actually measure cup. This is a 10-pound bag of flour. It'll probably be gone in 2 weeks. Just saying. If I make what I normally make, I'm just saying. I also, yesterday, about 18 hours ago now, woke up my starter, which is still a very active starter. And I just like to get it done to where it's like anywhere between 12 and 24 hours prior to me going to bake it, depending on the temperature of the house. This is doubled in like 6 hours, but I didn't feel like making the bread then. I still had to go grocery shopping and get the flour. So you want 2-ish teaspoons of salt. A lot of people say you have to be exact with sourdough. Of course, a lot of people say you have to be exact with baking. I am not exact with sourdough. I'm not as exact with baking as I should be either. I'm going to pour about a 1/2 cup, that sourdough starter into this 1/2 cup. I'm going to do it right over my container, so if I overflow a little bit, it doesn't much matter. I want to move my starter over here so you don't have to worry about it. Now, then after that, you need about 1.5 cups of water. I put a little over in here, so I'm not going to put it all in just at once. You can go in here with your hands and mix it. I'm going to mix it with the spoon that I already dirtied. I usually do this anyway with a spoon or a spatula. And if you don't know how to do the starter or how to feed a starter, I'll put I'll make before this comes out, and I'll put a playlist of my shorts on here. Because I did a whole series of shorts on making sourdough starter. The starter turned out really good doing it. And to feed your starter after it's, because I store mine in between uses, because I make sourdough about once a week, I am going to add the rest of that water. It was just a little too dry. I didn't have it even up to 1 2/3 cups of water. It was just shy of that. I'm just trying to get all of the flour at this point wet. I'm not even going to form a ball. I'm not going to do it the lazy way that I made it last time in this video. I'm going to show you how to actually do it. But if you don't know how to feed a starter, you can leave it in your fridge for between 7 and 10 days after you have an active starter. Once a week, whether you're going to bake with it or not, once every 7 to 10 days, take it out, let it come up to room temperature, give it 1 cup of flour and a 1/2 cup of water, give it a stir, cover it back up, because I cover mine with paper towel and a hairband, put it back in the fridge. I'm not even discarding any of this because I used just about a third of it actually when I turned around and I've made this. And if I wanted to, I could take part of that and make sourdough pancakes tomorrow, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take this on top. And when your jar gets too dirty or your container gets too dirty, just pour your starter into another container that's clean and wash it. I'll see you guys in half an hour where we're going to do a pull and stretch of this. In the meantime, I'm going to lightly cover it with the lid so that nothing gets inside. I'm going to see you guys in half an hour-ish. Half hour to 45 minutes. It's been about 40 minutes-ish, maybe 45. Didn't really time it. I hardly ever do. I go off and I crochet or I cross stitch or I clean or whatever. I'm only putting the glove on even though I had my nails just redone and they're shorter because I don't want to get the dough underneath my nail right now. You don't have to. It's not a sticky dough. And all I'm going to do, you're going to turn and put it in a square. You can buy these at Walmart. In a square plastic container. Actually makes it easier if you're like need to be visual to know whether you did a, if you heard that, that was my wrist. If you're more of a visual person and need to realize that it goes in quarters, so you're going to pull out the side and push into the center. As you can see, the dough is forming really well. Make a quarter turn. It's going to make that kind of a noise. You might have to stretch it a little bit more. And then stretch and fold. Do this a couple of times for each quarter. You're building the gluten in this is what you're doing. Anywhere from a total of 2 complete circles to 3 complete circles. So either 8 or 12. I usually do 2 in each. You don't have to punch it down, I just like to. Cover and repeat at least 2 more times every half hour to 40 minutes. So it's like 1:15 in the morning now. You're going to see me do this again probably at 1:45 and at 2:15 or 2:30, and then I'm going to be done with this for the entire night till I'm ready to do it tomorrow. Now at this stage, I break out one of my glass bowls. And a little bit of oil. And I'm not trying to get the oil up to the top of the bowl. I'm just trying to get it along the bottom so it's easier. Or I spray it, but I didn't feel like spraying it. I forgot I had spray. And then you just take it out of your plastic container. You can use a regular, whatever container, it just needs to be clean. And I'm just scrunching the bottom as I'm turning it. You can also do it this way, which is how you're supposed to roll dough, because what you're wanting to do is build some surface tension on this side for when you go to put it into your Dutch oven the next day. Nestle it down in the bottom of there. It is not perfect. It is not ever going to be perfect when I make it yet. I'm just a beginner at this. Again, I'm only wearing the gloves right now because of my nails. I have my floured cloth that I made. It's just a tea towel that has been floured and I use repeatedly. You can clean them. Just have to make sure it's floured before you use it. I am going to go ahead and... My oven is not hot anymore from dinner. I was double checking. I'm going to go ahead and set it inside my oven. Because my house is set at 69, the pilot light keeps the oven slightly warmer. And so, well, pilot light, it's an electric element in there, but it does keep it slightly warmer. And I'm going to leave it in there until I get up tomorrow. That could be 6 hours, it could be 12. I've left it as long as 15, I think. It's going to about double in size. I'm going to leave it be. If I get up at some point in the morning and realize it's not quite where I want it to be, I'll warm my oven up to about 200 for just a minute, and I'll turn it back off and let it sit in there for a couple more hours. I'm not trying to bake it at that point. I'm just trying to get it to rise. I'm going to go ahead and let it sit. I have in the past, one of the first or second times I did it, it was the second time, I let it rest like an hour between the pulling from the outside to the inside and turning. There was nothing wrong with it. And you can do it more than 3 times. I just found rule of thumb 3 times is easy. My lazy way is I didn't do it except for once. Completely forgot. Turned it out the next day, let it rise, and threw it in my thing and was like, meh, let's see what happens. It wasn't bad. It wasn't shaped right. A little bit of it was a little doughy because it just kind of went flop, but it worked. And I mean, like, one little spot, like that big of a spot, was a little doughy on one of the edges. Oh, of course, my parchment paper also was partly to blame for that. I will be with you guys tomorrow to not only get the sourdough baking, but to bake some of my everyday bread. For that, we will get out the KitchenAid mixer. I don't like doing that one by hand because you have to, like, it does all the kneading for me. I just have to make it go. So, I'm going to set my bangs in some curlers. Probably not do anything with the ponytail. I'm just going to be home tomorrow and baking. I don't even think I'm going to do the curlers tonight. I think I'm just going to go to bed. Yep, I'm tired. I'll see you guys tomorrow. You're catching me in between doing things because I legitimately looked at my sink and went, I have to do dishes. Not because the sink was overflowing with dishes, but because the stove still had pots and pans on it that just needed to be cleaned from last night. I mean, they'd been rinsed, but they weren't cleaned. And if I'm going to be baking, I have to have those cleaned. And in the meantime of doing that, I'd set my Dutch oven into the oven after I preheated the oven to 500 degrees. And then your Dutch oven needs to heat in that 500 degree temperature for an hour. And after I did the dishes, I got my butter going to room temperature. I had some crystallized honey, which if you didn't already know, honey doesn't go bad. So if it crystallizes, just warm it up a little bit and you can use it. So it's a store-bought crystallized honey at this point, and I was like, I don't even know how old that is. So let me, and I mean, it can't be more than a year old. I was like, let me set that on the oven, like on top of my stovetop, so that the heat radiating up from the oven would warm it up so that I can use it for the cooking. So my yeast is blooming for my actual bread, like my regular weekly bread. The honey is warming up. The butter is coming to room temperature. I was like, okay, cool. Let's get that going. The oven is at 500 and preheating my Dutch oven. And when it's been going for an hour, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer from my bowl to, I like to take one sheet of parchment paper and lay it like this, and another lay it like this. Put my dough for the sourdough right in the middle. Make a slit in the top or a cut with scissors. You're supposed to use a razor blade. I'm likely going to use a pair of scissors. And then I kind of bunch it up around it, and after I carefully take the lid off of my Dutch oven while it's still in the oven, and you set, without burning yourself, you set that paper down into the Dutch oven. You put the lid back on, you bake it for 20 to 30 minutes, and then you're going to turn at 500 degrees, then you're going to turn it down to 475, and you're going to bake it for another 20-ish minutes until golden brown. I'm also going to put a little bit of corn meal on the bottom of my parchment paper so it doesn't stick and burn as much. However, that being said, I'm doing this the correct way to show you guys the correct way. What I have been doing, and it's not the lazy way, it's the way I found that works better. What I have been doing is I take the parchment paper and put it in my bowl instead of oiling it, and then I put the dough in and let it do its major, proofing right there inside of that. So all I have to do is pick it up instead of transferring it, because sometimes when you transfer it, it kind of deflates a little bit. It's what works better for me. It might not work better for you. I'm telling you this now because since I did dishes and my dishwasher is running, you're going to end up with a voiceover for the actual bread. And I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, I did this, and this prior to. So I'm going to get back to cross-stitching for a few minutes while I wait for everything to be done. I only have like 20 stitches to do before I'm going to get up and go into the kitchen. But I thought I'd talk to you guys for like, I don't know, a couple minutes while I got that settled. See you in the kitchen. I'll do a voiceover so that you don't have to hear my dishwasher. Oh, and by the way, when you're doing a baking day, it is a good day to either do leftovers for dinner or something quick and easy. Think homemade burger helper, or homemade chicken helper, or homemade tuna helper, or a mac and cheese meal. Girls, why are we wrestling? Because we can. They tumbled all the way down the hallway into my doorway. Or breakfast for dinner, which is actually what we're doing tonight. Is we're doing breakfast for dinner. Or a crock pot meal is amazing as well. You're already going to be heating your kitchen up enough. You're already going to be in your kitchen on and off for hours. All I'm doing this week is a loaf of sourdough, and however many loaves my batch of for my regular bread comes up with. That's it. That's all. That's all I'm doing. So I'm going to get that all rising, and probably about the time I bake the regular bread is about the time I'm going to make dinner. I'd walked out to the kitchen, and as you could see there for just a split second, my yeast had overproofed and gone all over my stovetop, so I had to clean that up. I'm just adding some of my market honey because my crystallized honey had not softened enough, some salt. And I believe I was doing a cup of flour at the time. No. Yes, that's my 1 cup. So I'm at like 4, 5, about 5.5, 6 cups is what I end up doing for the flour. Yep. Oh, I have the yeast and some sugar and a stick of garlic or butter in there that I had softened, and I'm just letting it beat until the dough forms. I'd also made a flour mess like I always do. As you can tell from the way that came out of the bowl, because they're like, just lift it out. It doesn't ever just lift out for me. And if I dump it out, either it dumps out and it's all one thing and I can like, or it dumps out and does what it just did, and then I kind of have to scrape the bottom out. So the top has a crust on it, but the bottom doesn't. So when I dump it out, of course, the bottom doesn't have a crust on it, which is why I like to line my bowl with parchment paper. But I've only ever seen one article or one YouTuber that I've ever seen, that doesn't mean there's not more, that says put it in a bowl with parchment paper in it to let it do that rise. And I found that after I had done it originally with the parchment paper, I find that when I do it with the parchment paper in the bowl, you just lift the parchment paper out of the bowl, and before you even put it into the Dutch oven at that point, you can put your slice in the top. Obviously, this stuff, when it comes to sourdough bread, is a learning experience. It's a learning curve, and it's a skill. It is not just a regular baking skill. It is a skill that I am still learning and I am still developing, and I am in no way a sourdough expert. However, the way I've done the starter, it's a very active starter, which is why I'm going to link that playlist of me doing the starter, because it's all shorts, down below. And then it's why I'm telling you what I'm telling you now, because I showed you the way that I just did it, but I'm telling you the way I prefer to do it. This is going to turn out fine. It's going to taste good. Martin's going to eat it. I might eat a piece of it because it's not bad. Sourdough is not one of my favorites, but it's not bad. And then it'll be fine. Like, it'll be fine. It'll taste good. It'll rise a little bit more in the oven. I might have to be careful where the parchment paper is when I lift the lid off. It's going to bake for about 20-25 minutes, and then I'm going to take the lid off and turn the oven down to 475 and let it brown and bake for like another 20-ish minutes, 15-20 minutes. But then the bread that I just made needs to rise for like an hour to 2 hours, depending. I do have it on top of the oven. Okay, so Missy, whoa, Trixie, chip it, chip it, chip it, chip it, chip it, chip it, chip it. Nummy nummies, that's it, that's all. No more right now. No more right now. Okay, I'm going to mix this by hand. I have most of my dry ingredients in here. I have 3 cups of flour, a tablespoon of baking powder. Yeah, baking powder. A cup of unsalted butter, a cup of peanut butter, a little over a cup of peanut butter. About a tablespoon and a half of sour cream. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of salt. I also have 4 eggs, a little over a cup of milk, about a cup and a quarter. I'm going to add 2 cups of sugar, just regular granulated sugar. I'm using a 1/3 cup scoop, so it takes a minute. Use what I can out of the honey that I have been warming up so it's able to be used. Since earlier it's still partially crystallized. Can I get up? You guys having fun? What's up, baby? I love you. You guys having fun? I just started it. You're fine. I have less than 100 subscribers. I don't mind if a few of them are like, oh my goodness. They love each other. What the heck? How will we ever cope? Not that I think my subscribers would do anything of the sort. Love you. Now for my cinnamon. I literally almost blanked on what I was trying to find. I'm going to link a copy of the basic bread recipe I start with off the top of my head. Just a good one to start with. I'm going to link my starter dough, my sourdough starter. Yeah, that's the sourdough starter playlist, you guys. This is some vanilla powder that I just happen to like. A bit of vanilla. Don't worry, I have more. Always forget that. And I'll link a really good peanut butter and jelly cake recipe that I have found. I need something I can throw this in. Hold on. But I kind of made this one day just cause, and like many years ago before we knew that Hopi was allergic to peanut butter. And so I just kind of, I do what my instinct tells me to do. Oops, to like get egg all over the place.
Is it still, is any part green?
A little bit. You gotta wait a little bit, yeah. It's a really stiff dough, and it's taking it out of me to be mixing it by hand. I used to mix everything by hand, but now I got the KitchenAid because not KitchenAid. So I hardly ever mix anything by hand anymore. And my arm's kind of going. Mainly I'm just mixing until I don't see any major lumps or any like streaks of butter or plain streaks of peanut butter. It smells amazing. I might want to add more cinnamon, I'll tell you in a minute. And I add the vanilla powder because I don't necessarily want to use all of the vanilla in the water, and I haven't made some fresh homemade vanilla in a while. I said instead of doing a buttercream frosting, I'm thinking about doing a fluff frosting with the jelly in between layers and then a fluff frosting. Yeah, I think that would be pretty good. Don't worry, I have another spoon. It's really good. I'm gonna have in the oven. So many dishes to do. Oh no, Mr. Beal. Whatever shall we do? Mm-hmm. 350. Half an hour, 40 minutes, or until done. When you stick a knife or a toothpick in it in the center and it comes out clean. Nummy, nummy, nummy. And I'll be back with you, because my bread still has some rising to do. I've did a really messy French braid on my hair. Really messy. It's hard doing it on myself. Anyway, had my finger over the speaker. That wasn't going to help. You guys weren't going to pick it up. The microphone's down there. I took the cake out. It took exactly 40 minutes in my oven at 350. And I put the bread in also at 350. I've set the timer for 30 minutes. We'll see. The cake's going to have to cool. I don't know if I'm going to have time tonight to do more than to put it on a rack to cool and to finish it off in the morning. However, in between layers, I'm going to cut the big, like 9 by 11 or whatever it is, in half. So I'm going to have 3 tiers and make each and every one of them. In between the 3 layers, I'm going to put some strawberry jam, and then because I have the marshmallow fluff that a lot of people my age grew up with on sandwiches, and as dessert topping for whatever reason, I'm going to use that as a frosting tonight or in the morning, whichever happens. So I'll take a picture if I don't film it. I will film when I take the bread out of the oven. One of the reasons I'm not filming it currently is between filming and watching crafting videos and whatnot, and cleaning. My phone's on the charger at the moment, and that's what I used to film, and I'm about to get into my pajamas. So next time you see me, I'll be in my pajamas and a robe. And nom 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 nom. See, my dishwasher is summoning demons. This one's a slightly more brown. That one I also cut for the slit, so it kind of ended up being intriguing. I'm not going to baste these in butter today. I'm going to leave them dry crusted. But that is because of the garlic herb butter that I put inside of it. I don't feel like it tonight. It'll be fine. When these cool off enough to be turned out, I'll turn them out. Here's the cake. So far, it's too hot to take out of the pan even. My rack is in the cupboard because it's been washed. I still have a whole nother load of dishes to do. Just noticed that my crock pot is still in my sink because I remembered earlier, but I couldn't fit it into the dishwasher. So as soon as this load of dishes is done, I'll have to run it again so I can use the crock pot in the morning. The pork roast that I pulled out is going to go in my refrigerator until tomorrow to go in my crock pot. I'll take some pictures, and then tomorrow when I have this all smoothed down, I'll probably use this one as the top and those as the bottoms, or we'll see, because it's about even. I'll just kind of trim it up and whatnot. Or I might just, make that a 2-level, make this a single level. Who knows? I'll take a picture. I might even do a quick video that's like sped up so fast that it's a video instead of a video. But it's like midnight and I'm really tired because I've been up and doing. So I'm gonna go sit and relax until it's time to turn these out and change over the dishes because it's still in the washing process and not even in the drying process yet. It's been about an hour and 10 minutes worth of baking, so it's probably been about an hour-ish, 50 minutes to 60 minutes worth of that running, so it'll hit drying soon. I'll talk to you guys in a second, or I'll see you in a second. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me again, guys. The cake turned out amazing. The bread turned out amazing. The sourdough turned out good. I ended up with a buttercream frosting. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend and an amazing week ahead. Bye.